Alright, YouTube, here for my Mandela effect Yugioh. So, Yugioh, Mandela effect, and I just picked this up so that I could do my Mandela effect video. I picked it up from Walmart, and the unboxing video is a previous video, so watch that if you want to. Yeah, so I kept one out just to show exactly what I'm talking about. So, originally, when Yugioh came out, when I was young, I got into it instantly because I liked it. I was like, I'm going to be dueling, and it was way better than Pokemon because Pokemon was so hard to find kids who had a complete deck with all the energy cards that you would need to actually attack, so they didn't play it legitimately. So it wasn't as fun because I had a complete deck, but hardly anybody else had a complete deck to battle me, so it wasn't worth it because I could barely battle anybody. But Yu-Gi-Oh wasn't like that. You could battle, and anybody could battle with practically the cheapest deck imaginable. So yeah, and still do good. So there were a lot of people playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and I got into it and I liked it. So originally in Yu-Gi-Oh, you didn't have to sacrifice monsters to summon higher star monsters. Star would be this right here. So this is like a 1-star. This would be low. So now you have to sacrifice 1 to 4 star monster for any star monster 5 and 6. So you would sacrifice 1 to 4 star monster to summon a 5 to 6 onto the field to play. And then if it has 7 or above stars, then you have to sacrifice 2 monsters to summon the 7 above star monster. The 2 monsters being a 1 to 4 star that you have to sacrifice. And they already have to be on the field too, normally, unless there's like some special effect or something to summon it. Well, anyways, so originally you never saw people with anything less than the 5-star monster because you didn't have to sacrifice to summon them. So what was the point of having a less than a 5-star monster? Every once in a while you get like a 1 to 4 star because of the effect of the monster, but they're very rare. You normally didn't see them in people's decks when Yu-Gi-Oh first came out. And then when Yu-Gi-Oh first came out, this is a god card. They're called god cards. There's 3 of them. This is the Ring Dragon of Ra. Originally they were blue, and they had different effects, and you could play them, and they were legitimate, and you could play them in tournaments and that. Well, the whole Mandela effect now is that the original God cards, you couldn't actually play them in tournaments because they weren't legal. But I know for a fact that when Yu-Gi-Oh came out, those blue God cards were legal, and that you could play them in actual tournaments. And then originally you didn't have to sacrifice, but now in this reality you always had to sacrifice to play in tournaments, and apparently now all of a sudden it was only when you weren't playing legitimate tournaments that you didn't have to sacrifice. But I remember 100% sure that in my reality tournaments and non-tournaments had the same rules that we played by. We played by the legitimate rule books when I dueled, even though we weren't in tournaments, and it clearly stated in the rule books, which were tournament rule books with tournament rule guidelines on how to actually play. They all had the same rules, and the rules stated that you didn't have to sacrifice to bring out your monsters. That was not existent in my reality when Yu-Gi-Oh first started. It later came into being in my reality. I think it was like a year and a half into it, because the tournaments, people weren't playing less than 5 stars, and Yu-Gi-Oh was like, well, we're not making any money off of these cards that are less than 5 star, and they're like a waste and whatnot. So to bring up the value of all the other cards and the playability of all the other cards, they put in the rules that you have to sacrifice a 1 to 4 star to summon 1 to 4 star to summon a 5 to 6 star monster, and 2 to summon 7 to 8 star 7 to above star monster. And then they came out with these new God cards. And when they came out with the new God cards, the old God cards you could no longer play in tournaments legally because they came out with the new effects in that. But in this reality, you couldn't play the God cards until the new ones came out legally in the tournaments and that. And yeah, so like all this changed now. Summoning has changed in that. It's just crazy. I mean, Mandela effect is changing just about everything, including Yu-Gi-Oh. So yeah, that's my Yu-Gi-Oh Mandela effect. Alright, see you, YouTube.